In a few of the videos I've made, like the Motörhead covers and stuff, or ones in which I talk anyway, I've mentioned a couple of times that I met Fast Eddie Clarke, a hero of mine. So, I can say I met one of my musical heroes. And a couple of comments have said, "Oh, can you tell us any more of that?" There's not that much of a story to tell because I only met him once, but he was apparently the manager of a band I was in. The story, make it as succinct as possible. So the guitarist at the time, before I joined the band was called Ayatollah, and there were three members: guitar, drummer, and vocalist. Mike was the guitarist, and they were heavy. It was, and I recorded this demo, and it was heavy. It's good stuff. And he saw a program. It was called. They broadcast in the UK. It's called the Metal Years. You can still see it on YouTube. I'll try and put a link into it. Classical metal bands of the new wave of British heavy metal, I think it was. Oh, I don't know if they're all British bands, because yeah, there might have been actually. Yeah, I think it was that. But Motörhead was in there. Lemmy presented it, and so he presented Motörhead. There was about 10 minutes for each band and sort of history. And in that they sort of said, Motörhead's glory years were during the Lemmy, Clarke, Taylor years. After that they've soldiered on with little success or some bullshit, but very much hyped up the classical lineup thing. Anyway, so Mike the guitarist saw this, and he had some contacts in the TV industry. This is 1999, so it's kind of a bit, in the UK we were a bit backward on this sort of thing, so the internet wasn't that massive yet. Well, it was getting bigger, but anyway, I don't know, but he used his contacts to get a copy of this demo to Fast Eddie Clarke, who'd been interviewed for the programme, because Ayatollah had released a cover of I'll Be Your Sister, or recorded a cover of I'll Be Your Sister, which is slightly different in structure from the original, but not that much. And it come back, they contacted this TV company, contacted Fast Eddie Clarke, gave him the copy of the tape, as it was at the time, cassette tape, and different world, isn't it? He came and got the cassette tape, and they rang up Mike and said, yeah, he really likes it, and here's his telephone number, his home number. Now, Fast Eddie Clarke lived in Twickenham, which is southwest London, which is he was right on the doorstep of where my grandma and granddad used to live. Twickenham is 10 minutes by bus from where I was born and raised, so I knew it well. Anyway, I hadn't yet come in the picture yet, and so my mate rang up Fast Eddie Clarke, and they arranged to meet at a sort of hotel type bar place, or the bar of a hotel called the White Hart, which is just across Kingston Bridge, Kingston being where I was born and raised. So it was right on my doorstep even before I joined. Was all taking place. And so my mate said, Mike said he drove there because he lived in sort of further out in London. He got there and he said, well, I'm driving, but, I'm meeting Eddie Clarke, rock and roll. I'll have a pint. I can have one pint because, he said then Fast Eddie Clarke came in and they shook hands and that, and he ordered himself an orange juice because, of course, he'd given up the booze. It almost killed him. He went to rehab, Fast Eddie, in the late 80s, I think it was. But anyway, they sort of, probably Fast Eddie made sure he wasn't a nutter, and then he said, well, do you want to come back to mine? So they went back to his, and they chatted and all this sort of thing. I think had a bit of a smoke. And so he sort of became the manager, or Mike's like to call him the manager, but he lent Mike his cassette 4-track. So, and he came to a few rehearsals, and apparently he almost, because he was a very heavy smoker, Fast Eddie Clarke, and he used to cough just all the time. And they were all around the singer's house. Fast Eddie Clarke came around as well, and they were in the kitchen, and Fast Eddie Clarke stepped backwards, and the singer's cat ran between his legs. And he almost fell flat on his back. And he said he started laughing. He was laughing so much it turned into a massive coughing fit. They had to sit him down and stuff. But anyway, by then I'd put an advertisement in the Melody Maker, which used to be the old way of getting in contact with bands, personnel, and that said bass player available, influences Motörhead, of course. And Mike rang me up and he said, and the debate was, well, Fast Eddie Clarke's our manager. So I was like, yeah. Anyway, a few rehearsals and that, and it kept on, are you going to meet him? You're going to meet him. Didn't happen. And then we played our first gig in Kingston, my hometown, a place called the Robert Peel. Good gig, really good gig. And I wasn't even thinking about it. We'd finished playing, and I was chatting, come off stage, just chatting, and it's just tapping my shoulder. I turn around, there's Mike standing with Fast Eddie Clarke. And Mike just said, "This is Fast Eddie." And I was just like, fuck, Fast Eddie Clarke, you know, it's him. And fuck, man, just completely just, "Oh, mate, how you doing? All right?" Shook my hand, hell of a grip on him. And I heard like Lenny said he used to be a bit sort of tasty at the old if there was any trouble or something, and you could tell he could look out for himself, and he had that air about him. As one of my mates said afterwards, he goes, "You didn't, even if you didn't know who he was, he carried himself with the sort of air that of someone who's written the Ace of Spades." And the drummer in the band, Ayatollah, he said, "Yeah, imagine walking in a pub and knowing that you're the one who's written the Ace of Spades." It's just awesome. But there was no arrogance or bullshit there. I mean, he knew who he was and that. Anyway, yeah, and then after that, it was a bit of a shame. I think we did a few more gigs, and using his contacts, there was some chat of us doing Ayatollah in the summer. This was in February. I met him, and then by the summer, we had something lined up. It was an actual festival, and this was for Fast Eddie's contacts. Something, I can't even remember which one it was now, but it was something along the lines of Glastonbury or Reading. It's one of those biggies in the metal tent or the metal stage, but we would have definitely been like the first on, and for a quarter of an hour or something. But whatever, it was still quite a feather in the cap. And then, the drummer said, "Actually, I don't want to be in it. I don't want to be in the band anymore." And it all just fell apart. I started up another band. Through Fast Eddie's website, which was running at the time, all being run for him, I managed to get in contact. And I said, and they said, "Yeah, send us a demo." I sent the demo, never had anything more. But to be honest, it was shit, the demo. It was really bad. And the only other thing to say before this ends is shortly before he passed away, Fast Eddie, what's that, 2018, 2 years ago. I actually, because I've been following him for a while on Facebook, I liked his page, the Fast Eddie page, and I messaged him with a video, a link to a YouTube video of my band Nana here in Japan, and just a bit cheeky, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I said, "Look, if you ever go out here with Fastway, could you consider us for a support band?" And I said, "We have met once before. The band was called Ayatollah, in early 2000." And I got a message back, and "Hello!" exclamation mark. "I remember the band and the gig. Nothing planned as yet, but I'll definitely keep you in mind," or something. It was nice of him to reply. Apparently, his wife used to read them to him, the messages, and he'd tell her the reply, and she'd type it. I think her name is Mariko. It's Japanese. And then I heard he passed away. She's 68 years old. He'd had emphysema from years of smoking, though he'd given it up. And I'd seen an interview, he said there's an operation they can do where they do something, it restores a lot of lung function. But he got pneumonia and sadly passed away at 68. So I carry on following his Mariko still, or his wife still runs the Fast Eddie page, and there's some good stuff going up all the time. Memories of him and old photos and stuff. So if you do Facebook, it's definitely worth a try. Definitely worth a follow. But yeah, I'm just, man. When I met him, I was still buzzing the next day. Absolutely buzzing. I was working in a sort of warehouse at the time, and I was flying around at work. It was like, yeah, I met Fast Eddie Clarke, and I thought, because I was 22 or something, I thought, man, this guy likes our band. He told me as well. We shook hands. He went, "Fucking nice playing, mate." Like that. I thought, yeah, because I played at Rickenbacker, and I played in that Lemmy way. And I thought, God, we're made here. The band's going to be huge. But whatever, you bumble along, and occasionally you get nice things happen. And amongst all the slog of being in a band and all that. Anyway, I met Fast Eddie Clarke. My little memory there.